Hello?
Hello. You are
Hi.
the co-host now, Jlin. So you
Okay.
should be able to turn on your video.
Okay, there we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I was
All
like,
right.
what wrong button did I push?
Oh no, that was on my end.
Okay.
Um, so I am going to start the webinar,
Okay.
and then I should be able to kind of monitor those who are panelists as well.
Okay. Perfect. Make sure the good things
If
happen like your
anyone who
phone.
is a panelist wants to test that you can turn on your video, if not, I can enable.
I can't turn on my
You
video.
cannot. Okay, thank you. I will. What about? I'm clicking. Allow panelists to start video. So now, what about now?
Oh,
All right.
Oh, okay. I love it.
I think we'll just wait a few minutes
Okay.
for most people to join. I'm gonna grab my phone to see it. If Andrew is here.
Yeah, I actually just text him.
Okay.
Yeah. Hi, Andrew.
Hi, I'm John.
Hi, John.
Nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
You too. Thanks for coming.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm very, very grateful to be here.
Same.
while we wait for a few more folks to trickle in, should we have some listening music? Should we?
Sure. From my end, hold on. I have to share screens and then advanced. All right. Sure. Why not? Because I was. So this is something that I totally forgot I made. So if you that kind of thing happens. So totally forgot I made it. That sound okay for you all?
That's great. Yeah.
Lenosis.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had to stop that because it was getting on my nerves. No. No, it was. It was getting on my nerves. I haven't played that probably in 8 years. I made that in 2011. And I totally, I was going through digging because I was actually going to use that as one of the tracks of like an example of how far I've grown. And then I was like, I can't listen to this anymore.
Hey, Jlin, I think maybe you're in mono mode now. Is that track just in mono or is there some stereo movement?
Oh, no, I know what's happening. No, is that better?
Well, it might also be a zoom setting. So if you go to that little mute button on the left side of your screen, there should be an arrow there, which will take you to audio settings.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you're there, go to the bottom of that white box and go to advanced.
Okay.
And then there should be a little check box that says use stereo audio.
It says, no, I only see the echo cancellation. Wait, hold on 1 second. Let me go back. Oh, use stereo audio. Yes, I'm sorry. Okay, I was
no
in
problem.
Yep, okay. I checked it. Let's see. Is that better?
Well, you'll have to play something. Hello.
Okay, hi. You want me to play something and see?
I'm afraid that it's all mono all the time, unfortunately, Andrew, but I'd like to hear it anyway.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Hold on, let me see. I'll play something else. Hold on 1 second. My goodness, let's see. What do I have randomly?
Yep. Yeah, I'm afraid Zoom only does mono, even though it says it has the stereo.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a bummer, right?
Right, wow.
Yeah, completely, right?
Okay, we don't have any strings. We'll have to use oboes for your piece.
Oh, man. Okay. Well, hopefully it doesn't sound like patchy or bad.
No, it sounds
coming
very
through.
clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, if there's something that if we're going to listen to seriously, people can go on other venues or web.
Oh,
browsers,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yes.
and we can all listen from there at home.
This is true.
Should we
Yeah, I think let's get started.
let's get started?
Okay.
Cool. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for this virtual discussion put on by the Center for New Music at Audio Technology at UC Berkeley. I'm Andrew Harlan. I'm a graduate student in the music composition program here, and I'm joined with Hallie Smith, who's my colleague in the department in composition. Just a couple quick notes. Panelists, you should be able to turn on your video by now. So if you are a panelist and you're unable to and would like to, just message Hallie. One last bit of housekeeping is this talk will be fairly loose in its structure. So if you would like to, if you've got a follow-up question or would like to kind of interrupt Hallie or I with a question, feel free to just either unmute yourself or type it in the chat, and we can kind of keep that conversation open that way. So without further ado, we are really excited and honored to welcome Jlin. And I don't want to really say too much else because I think she'll do a lot of the talking about her life and her work. Just that, yeah, she's an incredible musician, and we're really excited to hear you talk today, Jlin. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. That was beautiful. Thanks, Andrew. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Hallie. I really appreciate you. You all have been, to just you and Andrew making this happen. It's been really fun, like all of the behind the scenes Zoom meetings that happen to get everything together. And thank you all for coming. I'm very, very humbled. So thank you all. So to start off, yes, my artist name is Jlin. My real name is Jerrilynn Patton. And Jlin is derived from the first letter of my first name and then the Lynn part, but I didn't like the way I changed the spelling of the Lynn part because I don't know, dare to be different. I don't know, but it sounded good. Like when, I liked the way it looked. And so that's what I did. Becoming Jlin and the evolving process of me has been quite the journey. I started making music back in 2000, and I want to say either 7 or 8. I always never really know, but it was somewhere in there. And I had such it really started off with me running away from myself. I was running away from my life. I had dropped out of school. I was at Purdue at the time, and I dropped out, and my mother didn't know. And it was quite in the process of that happening and her not knowing, I was introduced to FL Studios, which I still use today, faithfully. And of course, it was a hacked version, or and because we always kind of make the joke that you're not a real musician if your first one was a hack. So that's the way mine was. And I was introduced by, his name is Avery Seton, calls himself DJ 76 now. And he put me on, just kind of put me on game with FL. So I used to go to the library while class period was happening at Purdue, and I would go in and I would sit down and I would work on music. But the first 4 hours, I love math. So I used to I was teaching myself calculus for the first 4 hours, I had an actual designated day. I know, wow, like drop out and still have a designated day. 4 hours, I practiced calculus. And then the next 4 hours, I worked in music. And so I would be in the library with my headphones on, going. And eventually I just got completely just immersed in this world of just with sound. And I started in the genre of footwork. And I just knew I was just, I wasn't really at that time. So I would say, so in this, to kind of put it in a context timeline wise. So I would say this has to be maybe around 2000 about 2008, 2009. And I wasn't really I wasn't that good. But I knew it was such a love-hate relationship with it. And it was the first time in my life I found something that I loved to do, like I loved breathing, outside of math. And so I was like, oh, wow, like maybe I could possibly be good at this thing. Not even looking to be, good, but just like something like I really was just kind of diving into this thing. And I would, practice, hours on hours, go from school to home to school, just constantly. One of the things I discovered though is that over time, even when as I was very beginner stage, my hearing started to change. The way I heard a thing started to change. The way, I guess I would say the spark of the intuitiveness of creating was starting to spark. And that is, to this current state, that is what guides me. That is me now, very intuitive. I'm not a technical person as much as I am intuitive. I love to feel what it is that I'm doing. So to kind of go back, so to kind of fast forward, little bit. So now back to me dropping out. My mom finds out, and of course she's very devastated, because I carried that was a long lie to carry for 5 years, and your mother doesn't know. And of course, that would mean that now, our relationship needed to be healed. So as time went on, we started, I remember telling her, I said at the kitchen table, I said, I'm going to make this up to you. And I remember her saying to me, no, you need to make it up to yourself. And she wasn't upset about me dropping out. What she was more upset about is that I didn't feel comfortable enough to come to tell her that, this wasn't the route, school maybe wasn't the route that I wanted to take. But it wasn't that. It was, as much as it was for me, it was the major I had chosen. I didn't, I think if I can go back and do it again, then I would have just chosen math as a broad spectrum overall versus doing architectural engineering and doing computer graphics technology. It was just a lot. So I hated it. But in the process, in that happening, after everything, I kept creating, even in the midst of going through with me through all these transformations. I kept creating. So fast forward to now 2010, I'm introduced to Planet Moon Records, and I make this track called Erotic Heat. And previously, before that, Mike Paradinas, who is the label owner, he had created Bangs and Works Volume 1. And I actually named that compilation series Bangs and Works, because he couldn't find the title. So I said, well, call it Bangs and Works. And he was like, okay. So we went with that, and he did. And I ended up on the second compilation. I had created this track. So where Jlin came into play is I created this track called Erotic Heat. And when I first made it, I loved it, but I was so unsure about it. So unsure. I was like, what am I gonna, what are people gonna think about this? This isn't footwork. I don't know. And I just knew, I was like, oh, I'm gonna be this footwork artist. And I made this track, and I just said, you know what, I'm gonna put it out in the universe. I remember putting it on Facebook on video. As a matter of fact, it's still there. That's the funny part. It's still there. And I remember everybody was just like blown away by it. I was more blown away than people were blown away by it, because I wasn't expecting that response at all. And I remember Mike writing me right on that post and said, I have to have this on the second compilation. And so that's how that ended up happening. And then I also had another track called Asylum on there as well that ended up on that compilation. So in the process, so that was my, little, I guess, dent in the wall. And then kept digging. And then in around 2013, Rick Owens had reached out to Mike Paradinas about that track Erotic Heat, and he wanted to use it in his show. So this was spring for 14-15, if I'm not mistaken. So he asked me, though, could you take the track and make it 13 minutes long, and and make it build it up for like a runway show. I wanted it, he said he wanted it like to have a build and all this type of thing to go with it. So I said, I'd give it a shot. And I remember getting off work. I was working at the steel mill at the time. I started U.S. Steel in 2012. And I was working at the steel mill at the time. And I remember getting off midnights, going to bed, getting ready to go to bed. And I get this email from Mike Paradinas about this, with Rick Owens. And I remember telling my mom, she was in her room, and I'm standing in her doorway, and I'm telling her like this what's happening, and she's like, I don't know. I think we were both just kind of like in shock. And then that actually happened, and she went to Paris with me for the fashion show, which was really, really, really sweet. And it was a great time. Like, she laughs at me because she asked me, like, one of the reporters who was there asked me why was I here, because we were sitting in the VIP section, and I remember saying, I'm just here to see the show, and completely forgetting like I had made the music for the show. And my mom, like, she looks past me and she says she made the music for the show, and the reporter's all excited, like, oh my God, that's great. And so, yeah, that was just me having one of my many goofy moments. So that happens with Paris Fashion Week. And then so after that, my first album comes out. So Dark Energy is on Mike and I got together, and he said, okay, you should definitely put out an album. So Dark Energy is now is gonna come out. And I was about halfway done with Dark Energy, actually, when he asked me to do it. So I had maybe about 3 or 4 more tracks I needed to add in that I needed for it to be a complete LP. And I did that. And Dark Energy came out, and it was very well received. It had made album of the year for The Guardian, and I think it did it for Pitchfork too. I think it was either that or Pitchfork. But I know The Guardian for sure, I remember, for best album. And I was just blown away. I look back at those moments, and I was blown away, going from just kind of where I had come from, where this was just me running away from myself, to like, oh, this is a real thing. Okay. Like, it's real. All right. So it's almost like, it almost feels like somebody goes, you're a professional now, and you go, really? And it's kind of like that. So yeah, then second album, Black Origami, comes out. Also very well received, and it had won an award for the most difficult album. With that meaning that most people kind of like, when your first album is really good, it's like, can you do it the second time? It's like type of a thing. Can you pull that off again? And I did, and it won an award for that. But so that's kind of where, here I am. And then, of course, going into 2016, I meet Wayne McGregor, and who is a legendary choreographer based in the UK. I'm pretty sure some of you, if not all of you guys know. And then we work together, and then I create the music for his dance piece Autobiography, and that went really, really, really well. And so now, just working on, I feel like, I don't know, like I'm not that great at my timeline, because it always starts I start from different spots at different times. But yeah, that is my timeline. So I started thought I was going to be a footwork artist, and then it just immersed into this, into this other world that became me and my signature. And then, here I am, now. As far as my music, I would say the way I approach music is I always think about it in the context of, I always deal with, before I create a thing, I always deal with the personal part before I hit the professional part. So I have to deal with me first before I can create. That's just something I always kind of delve into. I feel like I have to, and if I'm going to feel something intuitively, I have to deal with something with me personally first. Sometimes, and usually that thing is very hard. So then I can, and it has nothing to do with being dark, like dark or bad, because I feel like the word dark is very misused. But I like to create from a nothing space. So I love a blank canvas. So a lot of times I think, like, I love conceptual creating, but my favorite is probably abstract, because I have to create, I have to dig to create versus being presented something to create. And that's my favorite. Like, I can still be, of course I can still be me in both, but I feel I definitely like the more of the challenge when I don't have anything to pull from. So one of the things I feel like when in the process of creating whatever it is you do, it doesn't have to be music, but I think one of the most important things is to trust yourself. And trusting yourself is an ever evolving process. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen one time. Ooh, I trusted myself for the first time and then that's it. No, you have to, trusting yourself is a constant muscle that you have to exercise when creating. And it's crucial that you practice. Like, every time, for an example, when I take on a project, I take it on as a practice. Like, or when somebody asks me for an example to remix a thing, to me, it's a practice. I'm constantly practicing. And I feel that those moments when you get a project or you have a project, is really important that you practice that thing. You have to step into a very hard space, which is the space of not being complacent. I think if you want the best of yourself, being out of your comfort zone is it, because now you're stepping into a space that's infinite, that is a constant challenge, a constant work, and rarely are those moments seamless, but the other side, when you get to the other side, is beautiful. And embracing those moments when it doesn't happen, when you step in the ring and you step in the ring of your life and you get knocked out, and then saying, okay, but I'm going to come back again tomorrow. And those moments are important. And that is how I create. Every time I sit in this chair, I tell anybody, anytime I sit in this chair to create, it is definitely a fight. And that fight is important. And so I would say to any of you, when you guys sit down to create, or whatever it is that you do, whatever your passion is, does not have to be music. I don't care what it is. It could be walking ducks. I don't care. It like it's going to be a challenge. If it's something that is pushing you outside of your comfort zone, you headed in the right direction. And sometimes you get into a particular space, and I don't talk about this space often, but it is important. When you get to a space when you're creating and nobody understands your vision but you, that's a very lonely space. But don't not do it. I can't tell you how many times over my career where I have been in that space where I had to make an executive decision to go against everybody else. And those moments are crucial. And I want you all to know that if you understand it and that's your vision and you can see it, then do it. No matter how long it takes, no matter how much you have to put into it, whatever it is, if you see it, that's all that's important, because it's yours, it's your journey. Nobody's walking this but you. Embrace it. Is it going to be easy? No. Is it rough? Oh yeah. But embrace that. Embrace the bad days. The bad days are the most important days out of everything. When you're talking about success, your worst days are your most important days, because you learn what not to do. You learn to be innovative in not being able to do a thing. And those moments are crucial, because that is what makes up that. Like, for an example, like I love this analogy of most people, they have this, if you look at an iceberg and you see the iceberg is sitting on top of the water, but nobody knows how deep that ice runs under the water. And most people, of course, they only see what's on top, but they have no idea the depth of how deep that ice is. And that's the way your work ethic has to be sometimes. And some, you know, it's a lot of sacrifice. It's a lot of, you know, self-validation, and really a lot of times hyping yourself up, choosing the right people to share your dreams with, because everybody is not happy for you. You have to really pick who you're sharing the thing with. And that's hard, because sometimes you may think that the person very close to you is happy for you and they're not. And you have to really, when you sense that you're not, and when you sense like, I don't feel like this person's not, you know, it makes me feel away, follow your intuition, because there's a reason you feel that way. You have to guard your creative space. I guard my creative space like I guard my life. You have to guard your creative space, because that's you. You have to guard your journey, because that is the sum total of everything with you, whether it's the good, the bad, the ugly, whatever. You have to guard your space. And I'm learning that over and over and over every day. It is such a grip, hold on tight, because when you're around people and they're complacent and you're not, there's nothing wrong with that. But what you have to do with that is you have to create the balance of, you know, you hang with your friends, you know when to walk away from a project when you need to clear your head, but also too, don't run from yourself. Don't run, because you hit a brick wall for a reason. You definitely hit a brick wall for a reason. And you need to clear your head, however means that is. And sometimes you have to shut everything off. Like when I create an album or I'm getting ready to create something, I don't listen to anything. I don't even listen to my old stuff. Like I just totally shut everything out. I don't want to hear anything, nothing. And then I create, and then there goes that space of pulling from nothing, because because my head is clear, and I can pull from nothing and my intuition at the same time. And let me tell you, it's a beautiful feeling. I must say, it is a beautiful feeling when when it happens. I love it. But I'm sorry, I'm going to open up just the floor, because I feel like I've been talking and it's so silent. So if anybody wants to, I mean, you can ask me, because I know I probably sound like I'm all over the place. I hope not. Like, that's so not the goal. But if it is, that's okay. Anybody want to shout it?
Maybe it would be nice to listen to some of like your earlier works. Like maybe like listening to a track like Erotic Heat would be really nice to kind of bring people into the context.
Yeah, I'll give you an example of when. Let's see if I can find another track that's going to get on my nerves. Let's see. I don't know if oh no, it's still sharing. Okay, good. All right, here we are. So here's something, as a matter of fact, this isn't even, I never finished this because I lost the file. So this was me sampling, I was using a sample. It was flowetry, that's the best I can tell you. So that track is called Climax. What I like about that track is I can hear me starting to come forth. Like there are certain tracks I go back and I listen to and I can say, oh, I hear me starting to come in. Like I hear Jlin starting to come in. If you ever, I love when I can go back to something old and then I can listen to something new and I can hear my growth in the process. That's my favorite time probably as an artist, is when I can hear my growth. And a lot of those, I'm going to play another track too really quickly. So from the context of footwork, because that would be a footwork track. So from the context of like the pioneers of footwork, like RP Boo, DJ Rashad, DJ Spin, Traxman, DJ Clint, DJ Solo. So I'll play you a track just of a context of what like a footwork track is. I will play this track by RP Boo called Baby Come On. Baby come on, 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 baby come on. Baby come on, 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 baby come on. So just as like a context of like with the like footwork track, you have different styles of footwork tracks. So like that's probably around, I say like footwork is usually between 155 and 160, just for like context BPM wise. And it's very sample based and very like what we call four on the floor. Very 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's where I started, but where I went to is like when I would start to, I like to play in maybe what you call in maybe 3 or 6s. So like my music is not all the time. I can definitely do 4 on the floor, but what I started to discover is I like to play in like kind of like in 3 versus 1, 2, 3, 4. So for me, everything was like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then I started to break that down as I went along. So like, let's see if I can find a track where I was doing that. Oh yeah, like this is like I don't know why people love this track so much, but they do. Guantanamo.
You are now listening to the sounds.
Tortured, 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 cause of death, tortured, 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 cause of death, tortured, tortured, tortured. Tortured, 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 cause of death, tortured, 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 cause of death, tortured, 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 tortured.
So like you can hear that's very 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. So that's actually okay. That's the first version of Guantanamo, the one that didn't make the album. I was like, because I was like, wait, that's not Guantanamo. It was like, but yes, it is. It was the first version. What's on Dark Energy is actually version 2. So there are 3 versions though. Nobody's ever heard the 3rd version because I'm not done with it. But yeah, so then like I could start to, for 3 for me, I could start to feel I feel like I have more flexibility when I'm working in 3. I can definitely, but the beauty of like now where I'm at is I can bounce between 3 and 4 within the same track, and I'd love to do that. So yeah, so that's kind of like where I am, where I was back then. I haven't probably gone, I had to find this folder, you guys, like really find it, because I run away from this folder because it reminds me of, I guess, how I used to sound. I mean, it's not a bad thing, but I stay away from this folder. So when Andrew asked me, he said, can you dig and go all the way back? And I'm like, oh God. Sure, I can. It's kind of embarrassing, but no, it's beautiful because it's a part of the journey, and I embrace it. But one of the things, I will play something for you all that is new, and what I mean by that, I'm going to play this track called "Connect the Dots," where I'm working in 3 and 4 at the same time. So I'm working in 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 at the same time. Called Connect the Dots. No, I don't want to do Connect the Dots. No, I'll do Rabbit Hole. This is actually for my next album too. So yeah, that whole shindig. So I feel like Rabbit Hole was longer than that, but maybe it wasn't, knowing me. But so, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I don't want to definitely interrupt you, but there are some questions.
I know, I was getting ready. Yep, I just saw it. Yep, gotcha. So one of the questions was, hello, Jlin, how do you pull inspiration in this time of coronavirus? I have been struggling with my workflow. Typically, as a procrastinator, I would write new music for live sets, which would culminate in an album. My output was tight, but lately my main motivator does not exist. How was the time of isolation impacted your creativity, if at all? Okay, so to be honest with you, I have loved every second of being at home writing, because my tour life for the last 3-4 years was insane. I was gone probably 10 months out of the year. So when this happened and I was stationed to sit down and write, I was probably very happy. But with that, of course, with shows and stuff, the downside of that is with the shows and stuff getting canceled, the finances were, I wasn't getting, the finances. So trying to battle, hey, I still got to pay bills, but I still want to create. I dealt with that that was challenging. That was the most challenging, trying to balance. I want to create, but I'm distracted because I'm feeling the stresses of life like everybody was. So, and still, in the process, even now, of like recovering, in the process. I would say if you procrastinate when you create, I feel like there is something that you have to identify what is the trigger, because it happens to me. This definitely happens to me. It took me 8 months to make Guantanamo. So, and the reason it took 8 months is because I was procrastinating, because I was afraid of not the track. It was something, I was kind of like running from myself, running away from it. Like I knew it needed to be done. I felt like it was a good track. And then, but at the same time, I didn't want to do it. I did the same thing with Blue Eye off of Autobiography. I did the same thing. It didn't take me 8 months though. But when you procrastinate, when you feel like you're procrastinating, you have to identify what the trigger is, I think, of you. Why are you procrastinating? Because sometimes it may be you're simply running from yourself. There's something I feel like that you're running from that's within you. And whatever that is, if you can identify that and get a hold of that, then, like, I'm not saying it's going to solve your procrastination problem, but if you know what it is, at least that's the start. Like, what would make me run from my work? Because I feel like when you procrastinate, that's what you kind of like, you're stalling yourself. So what is making me stall? Is it something, most people are just scared of their own success. If you want me to just be honest, most people are just afraid of their own success. So that can make you definitely procrastinate. I would just, if you can, try to figure out what it is, what would make you procrastinate. If you write for, like you said, you write music for live sets. How about sometimes, instead of writing music for live sets, how about just writing just to write? And with it being no target, nothing, just write just cause, just write because just because. No, there's no, no ulterior motive, just write. And it doesn't have to be a whole song. Nothing drives me more crazy than when I get on YouTube and I see a producer that it's like they made a song in like 2 minutes. And it's like, that's not even realistic. There were a lot of video edits that happened in the process. Like, let's be real. Like, you didn't wake up, crack your knuckles, and then make this in 2 minutes. You just didn't. Just like, stop. I hate when I see people do that. Okay, hey Jalen. Oh, okay, so hey Jalen, this is another question. Hey Jalen, you are such an inspiration. I know there is a new collaboration with Sophie coming out in the Unsound compilation. Would love to hear about that and your experience working with her. First of all, losing Sophie that didn't even make sense when it happened. When I woke up and saw that Sophie had passed, it didn't even make sense to me, because I just talked to her like maybe 3 weeks prior to that. So when I saw that, rest her soul, I just was like, beautiful artist gone way too soon, just gone way too soon. but working with Sophie was really, it was great. The piece that we collaborated on, we done together, it was actually a piece I was writing for. It started off as a piece that was for a dance piece that a dance piece that I saw in my head. And I remember sending it to her. I sent her the stems and she was just like, she really, really liked it. And she, she did her thing and then she passed it back to me, and then that was the whole track. And so her not being here to, to share, this was our first collaboration, and to share the moment is just messed up. Like, honestly, it's messed up. That's, yeah, it's just crazy. It made me, it just makes you realize, you got to love people while they're here. You really got to love people while they're here, because just that fast, they can be gone. And like many people woke up the morning and saw that news, and it was just like insane. Just a beautiful artist, beautiful person, gone way too soon. One of the things I want to share, why it's on my mind, is I feel like when people have this tendency when they're working and you're in work mode, it's okay to take a break. I think sometimes we, as artists or whatever, whatever it is, whatever section of the arts that you're in, I think we have this tendency to feel like we have to overdrive all the time. And sometimes you're so on top of a project, you can't hear it, and you can't see it, you can't feel it anymore because you're too on top. And stepping back is really important, like truly stepping back and doing something else, having something else to do outside of that thing is crucial. You should really have something to do outside of, when I feel like if I found myself, at least I use me as an example. I found myself when I feel like I was starting to go through this robotic phase of, I felt like every time I woke up, I took a shower, it was almost like clocking into work. Okay, I should sit down and I should be writing. And that's not always the case. Like sometimes it's, it's okay to not do that, because people have this tendency, I just feel like people have this tendency they overdrive themselves. They overdrive themselves to the point where it's like, you're off you lose your, like, you lose your boat loses its direction, and you're swaying. And don't get me wrong, it's all a part of the journey, but sometimes if you can have control where you just don't do a thing. And I would just say, don't do, like, if you're not feeling it, don't do it. But which is different from procrastinating. But if if you feel like, if you're procrastinating a thing, that's just more, I think just find out why you feel the need to procrastinate. But those are just two different things. One of the things I like, one question people ask me all the time is like, how often should I be in the studio? Which is actually, I find it's not an odd question, but people actually, like, well, how often should I do this? How often should I write? And for me, because I'm intuitive, I feel like I do it when I feel like it, when I love to do it. So that's kind of all the time. But, when you feel a thing, but I think the best writing is when it's outside of your comfort zone, when it's not it's not something that you go to. And if you not choosing to not be complacent is a task within itself. Even with, myself, I don't feel like, even with, doing this talk, like, I don't feel like I've mastered anything as much as I have I've gone through a lot. I have some experience, but I wouldn't say I've mastered anything, because I'm ever evolving. And I think that's important. And to acknowledge that, I don't want to, come on here like, oh, like I'm also wise or this or anything like that. No, I'm still ever evolving. So I'm trying, being as vulnerable and as naked as I can with you, with you all, and, with just like my creative process. One thing, wait, hold up. Oh, okay, sure. When I worked with Wayne in 2016, I met Wayne in 2016, and then we actually worked on Autobiography for 2017. Wayne is a gem of a person. And one thing I learned from him, I should say it was a confirmation, is that I feel like you get your best work when you don't micromanage a person. So when I worked with him, he definitely didn't micromanage me. We worked nonstop. When I worked on Autobiography, I had changed my sleeping pattern I used to wake up at 2 a.m. I used to work from 2 a.m. to 6 p.m. So it was quite quite a change, but not really. I was also making Black origami at the same time, which I would tell anybody, don't ever do that. That was quite an overload, but I got them both done. But working with Wayne and working with the dancers has been very changing for me as an artist, and the way that I hear things and the way that I approach things musically. And it really helped my growth in terms of feeling my music more intuitively. That was also the first time working in Autobiography, was the first time that I actually played something that was not played it, but I made something, or the world heard it. That's not true. The world heard it, where I actually shared something like the Spiritual Adam, the first interlude. Nobody had ever heard me make a track like that before. So let me see if I can pull that up actually. Sure, it's here. I'm not gonna play the whole thing because it's like 5 minutes long. Find it. Man, I tell you, having a zip drive, gosh. Okay, here we go. So the first overture, Spiritual Adam. So that's the first track for Autobiography, and that's the way for the shows that we would perform. That was how. So that's the Jacob O'Connell dances that first piece, and it's a very powerful opening. Like if you hopefully when we start touring again, you could probably catch like partial clips of it on YouTube, but it's a really powerful opening. Autobiography was based on Wayne's genome, basically. And so that's a very intimate subject when you talk, when talking and working with someone. So he trusted me to create the music that was based on something so personal. And it was eye-opening in a lot of ways for for just for myself. And it was really beautiful working with him. But yeah, so inspiration. So I got a question of what some my inspirations change all the time. I think where I'm at right now, where I feel I'm very Eartha Kitt-ish right now. I love Eartha Kitt. Eartha Kitt is probably one of the, I swear, I think she has the God particle in her body. Like if I say so myself, because it's just the way the just everything about her, just the way her dancing, her singing, just her acting skills, just she knew who she was. She knew who she was. And I strive to be that, where I'm even in the midst of her, like with her past struggles, you know who you are. And I think that's a super accomplishment. I'm trying not to curse because my mother is also watching this. So yeah, so I had to bring that in. But yeah, so any more comments or questions, like Q&A, please open up, ask me something like where you don't. Yes, please.
Hi.
Hi.
Thanks so much, Jlin. This has been really awesome and really intimate, and I really appreciate you sharing your music and your story. And one thing that I'm really curious about is what it's like to move from making music or to make music in like two very different dance related settings. Mm-hmm. and how like movement, you mentioned something about seeing like movement in the process mm-hmm. of making music, and I'm wondering how the thread that connects like this soundtrack music that you just shared, mm-hmm. like how that looks compared to the sort of dancier stuff that you shared earlier.
I think that is very much when it comes to like when you're talking about, so like with festivals and like when you have clubs and like those kinds of things, I think all of that, from even like for what you just heard, actually all of that just really encompasses my whole being of a person. So that whole dancey vibe thing, and then the whole complete soundtrack thing, that's just me as a person. I think that is the duality I think that I just have of creating, honestly. So I can see an entire, I created an entire ballet in my head that I'm still trying to write for. And I can't dance, but I can see it in my head. When you do a thing like that, like when you so that's what I meant earlier when I was talking about conceptual and then being abstract. So the conceptual piece is like when something is presented to you already, and then you just create from that space of what was given to you. I just kind of go for a feel of like, I do this with every artist. So for an example, with Wayne, when I was working with him, I would create a minute of a demo, and then I would send it to him and see if he liked it. And then if he said, yeah, keep going, then I would just keep going from there. And then that's how Autobiography got built up. So that's the way I create. I just do it, I do it like that. If I am now, as far as like Dance goes, I love percussion. I am a percussion freak, I guess. I love percussion. So drums for me are like 808s and drums and different types. I don't just mean, you know, like your MPC sounds. I mean, I'm talking all percussion. I love percussion on the whole front. So making people move and bringing people to life is, you know, really important for me. Like I have a track, you know, I'm so happy you asked that. I'm going to play something. So like I have this track, Alke Bulan. Let me see. So that's what I mean when I say I love percussion. So when it comes to me, I know I have just played, for an example, I played something at the very beginning that was very, the reason I'm playing these wide ranges of tracks is because I want you to understand what I mean when I say growth. So what I played you at the very beginning versus what I'm playing you right now. See, those moments are important to me. And when I know something is done, it's a feeling, but that comes from years and years of being unsure. Years of being unsure, and not just unsure musically, but I have more unsure personally. And then when you start to, I always tell a person I was running away from myself so then I could then run back to myself. Now I've literally realized, watching myself, I ran away from me so I can come back to me now. And I hope that doesn't sound crazy, but running back to me now is an ever evolving process. So duality for me, music wise, is important because that's me. I have all of those sounds inside of me as a person. So it's not like, oh, you're just trying something new. No, that is really me. I can bounce from this to that, to this, to that, to this, to that, because I started out saying that I could play the track that I just played. I could play that track in the club and I could play that track in the movie. That's the way I create. I always have that mindset when I'm creating a thing now. That whatever I make can be put in a movie. It could be put on a runway. It could be put in a club. It could be put at a museum. That is the mindset I have now to create. So that's where I say, I'm not going to let somebody tell me where my music can be played. I just think that's funny to me, like to say, oh, that's club music. Well, I think that's kind of small-minded because it can go beyond that thing. You know, I think that we human beings have this tendency they like control. And they like to box things. And as long as they have a handle on it, it's like, oh, I can stamp that now. I know what it is because I have control. Well, my music is not about control. My music is about completely not having any control. So when people ask me questions like, how do you define that? I can't. I just made it. That's the best I can tell you. I can't. It's just coming through me. I just made it. And I'm cool with that. I don't have to have a definition on it. I'm not trying to control it. And I think the more me being not trying to control it is actually the more range that I have to create because I'm not trying to control what it is that I do. So to answer that, you know, thank you. That was a beautiful question, though.
Beautiful answer.
Thank you. So someone asked, hi, Jlin, thank you all so much for your music and your ideas. I am wondering how you deal with the musical cliches. I don't. But it takes time to get to that space, but I don't. I absolutely, How can someone else, let me ask you this, I mean, this is for everybody, anybody listening, what else, and whoever. How is it, I want you to think before, just really think about this, and excuse me for cursing, but who the hell am I to define you? How does somebody define you? Ask yourself that. Who is anybody to define you? You're not qualified. I'm not qualified to define anybody in this room, anybody listening. So that's why I don't deal with cliches, because you can't define me either, because I'm on my journey just like you're on yours. So that's, no, I don't deal with cliches of music, or, oh, you sound good for, you know, oh, wow, you do electronic music, and, oh, wow, you're a girl. And I mean, I've heard it all. And I just, sometimes all you can do is smile at people. You just innocently smile at them. And you just say, bless your heart. That's all you can say. Bless your heart. Yeah, I don't deal with cliches. You define your space. Nobody can define your space but you. You are your journey. Nobody can walk that but you. Nobody can define that but you. So when it comes for me, same applies to me. Nobody can define that for me. I don't care how much you try to pigeonhole me or any of that. You're not going to define me, because I'll go and create something, not even just to make a point, but just I'll create something because I'm not trying to control what it is that I do. So who are you to do that to me if I'm not even doing it to myself? So, you know, and you all should see it the same way. Whatever your creative path is, that's the way it should be for you. And when you're looking for, I think the worst thing you can do, now that I'm thinking about it, I think the worst thing you can do is to compare yourself with somebody else. Don't do that, because you don't know their journey and they don't know yours. Don't compare yourself, and take your ego out of your creativity. For God's sake, take your ego out of your creativity. Take it out, because ego will limit your creativity. And I'm saying that from experience. I'm not just saying it as somebody who thinks, oh, they know everything. No, I'm saying it from experience. Taking your ego out of a situation. Because taking your ego out will also help with procrastination too. And you know, why am I doing the thing? Sometimes you don't have to have everything don't require an answer. Everything just don't require an answer. Sometimes just feel to create just to create. Let that control go and create and do that. And it don't have to be for anything. It could just be something that's sitting in your box, chilling. That's fine. Do that thing. Write. Go to the lake, sit down and write. sometimes it don't even have to be music. So you need to let those, your thoughts in your mind, in your heart, whatever it is, let it out. And it doesn't have to be for a reason, or it doesn't have to be categorized. That's another thing. Musically, I hate, why do the categorizing of everything? I do understand reference point. I do get that. But to me, a lot of categorizing has more to do, I think, with control than anything else. Let me pigeonhole this thing. It's not understood unless I put the stamp on it. No. If it's not understood, then let it be misunderstood. Let it not be understood, and let it just be beautiful. Just enjoy the beauty, and let it be that. I think the listening experience would be a lot better if people did that. Myself. But sorry, I didn't mean to go on a tangent. Anybody else?
I had a question. Oh, Andrew, yeah.
Oh, no. How about you, Andrew?
Okay. Well, Jlin, thank you so much for the talk. It's really, I appreciate how open and just honest you are with your work. It's amazing and really refreshing. Yeah, and I was curious with your working process with Third Coast, how that all went about, because I think it's really interesting to work with a classical ensemble and sample them, and then I was just wondering if you could just talk about what that process was like and how you went about it.
First of all, I love those guys. Love them. Working with Third Coast was probably one of the funnest experiences because I love David and I love Sean. And don't get me wrong, I love them all. Sean is my favorite, even David knows. Working with them. So the process, how that went was, of course, so they asked me, would I be open to it? And absolutely, I was thrilled because what I thought was what all they played, the marimba is one of my favorite instruments. So when I actually got to their studio though, my mind was blown because the amount of instruments they own is insane. Percussion wise is insane. I thought I had went to heaven twice. I was like overwhelmed by how many instruments they had, and bells and bowls, and they are probably one of the most innovative groups I have ever seen and witnessed. So what we did was, when I wrote for them, I wrote this piece that I think it's 35 minutes, and the whole thing is called Perspective, but in each title is different, but the whole thing is called Perspective. And how their process went is I went to their studio, and so it was probably maybe about an hour and a half away from me, closer to the airport, to O'Hare, and went there, and I sampled. We took 2 8-hour days, but it was me and Sean the second time, but the first time we were just sampling, like I was sampling all the different like marimbas and xylophones, and it was just bizarre. And then the next time I came, it was Sean and I, and I was sampling all these different bowls and bells and just these beautiful sounds. And so from those sounds of everything that I sampled, I created Perspective, the whole thing. And so, as a matter of fact, I'm going to play you something for Perspective right now since you brought it up. Isn't it just amazing how all this stuff is just sitting right here? So this is from their sounds. I wrote this for them, just a piece. So that was something that the piece is like 6 minutes, like 6 minutes long. But that's something that I wrote for Third Coast, one of the pieces. So that was all their instruments, and then I wrote that for them, and then I sent them that track. What I did was I made that, and then I sent them the stems to it, and then they went and basically and then of course now and then replayed it, and their version is beautiful too. And that track is called Duality. And I named it that because using their instruments, I was completely trying to encompass that thing for them. And that's also me musically is very dual. Like I love duality. I love versatility and love being able to stretch as far as I can. And that goes with not putting the cliche on things and not limiting myself. And it's, like I said, it's such an ever evolving thing. But yeah, that's something that I did for them. Yep. Yep. Go ahead, Andrew.
I was just going to ask, well, I see also that there's a question from Martha in the chat. So maybe she's asking,
Since I like, do I ever use sounds from all the time. Like I just put this track Alke Bulan. I'd use percussions all over all the time. Let's see, I'll do another one, throw another one out like this. So yeah, that's so I definitely use different percussions like all the time. To me they're crucial. They're crucial. Like it to me is very important. Because all the sounds of the world, they're family. They're family. And I don't like separation with sounds because they all go together because every sound has their role. Whether it could be something crazy like, like I have a lions to a baby crying to every sound has its role. And I love putting my mom asked me to play Blue Eye. I'll play it in a second. But I love putting all the, as many percussions as I can, percussion, and not just percussion. Like I actually recently got asked to write for a harpist. I can't reveal who, but I got asked to write music for a harpist. And I thought that was beautiful because I love string. I love string. This is actually one of my, I wrote this piece called Summon, which will be on my album as well. I won't play the whole thing, but like I'm just an example of the usage of string. I love it because string can be used in so many different, infinite ways. Let's see here. I saw an entire dance in my head when I made this. Like it was a full ballet just sitting there displaying in front of my face as I was writing this. It was in my head. I said, man, if I could dance, I swear. No, but yeah, like I just, every instrument has its role. So for me, trying to capture that, like when people ask me to write specifically for specific things, trying to capture that is so important to me. I feel like it's crucial because I want the person to feel how vulnerable I felt when I was making it. I want you to feel everything I felt when I was making that thing. I want you to feel that, ooh, she was hesitant. Ooh, whoa, that was bold. All of that is important to me. So I try to, when I create now, I'm very cognizant about trying to capture everything because I want the person to feel like they were right there with me going through this whole transformation. And I feel like that's important to me. And then that is, to me, good listening, because then it's like you feel everything. I'm doing my best to make you feel everything and then capture so you feel like, it's very personal with me. It's always very personal with me. And I feel like that's the only way to be. I mean, that's to be my authentic self with the person that's listening. That's the only way I can be. And so I try to always exude that in everything that I make, especially now. I'm very cognizant about it now. Like this other piece, my mom's favorite piece of Blue Eye. She asked me to play it. So I'm gonna, hold on. I got you, Mom. 1 second. Isn't it sweet? Your mom comes to your talks. That's the best. Can't lie. So that was a little bit of Blue Eye, which was for William McGregor's Autobiography. It's actually one of mine. That was the hardest piece that I had to make on that. That was my most challenging piece because I was hesitant in a way, but I knew it was, I was like, oh my God, this could be so beautiful. Let's just get to the other side. It was so like, oh my God, what is happening? You know, I was so in the moment and then so out of the moment and so scared of the moment all at the same time. And I think, but that's the beauty of creating, being all of those feelings at once and trying to tackle them all. And then when you get to the other side of, you know, it's completed and you know it's done, it's a feeling. One of the questions I saw in there was, how do you know when something's done? You feel it, you feel it, you feel it. You know when it's done, you feel it. And when you know who you are musically and you know and it comes with maturing in your hearing. So when you know who you are musically, to know who you are musically is to know who you have to also, before you get to that, you have to know who you are personally. I would tell anybody that. To know who you are musically, you must know who you are personally. You have to know yourself as a person. And don't put limitations on yourself, even if you think you can't do it. Yeah, you might mess it up the first 2,000 times. But one thing Bruce Lee says, he said, I'm not afraid of the man who can do 10,000 kicks. I'm afraid of the man who practiced one kick 10,000 times. Yeah. So you may fall a lot, but that's a part of your journey. And so you know when it's done. It's a feeling that comes, and it's satisfying because you know. And that happens with growth, and growth is a beautiful thing. And embrace your growth. You're gonna be days you want to throw whatever it is you're doing at the wall. You think I don't have those days? I do. Many times. I used to question my career 3 times a week. Now I question it 5 times a week. If you really want me to be honest. But I love that though, because because I know who I am, I'm free enough to say that to you. Like, there is no facade here. Yes, I question it 5 times a week. Like, why am I doing this? Now, why am I putting myself through this again? And that's a free feeling. It's a beautiful feeling because that's all a part of your process. All of that. You have to embrace all of it, the good, the bad, the ugly. And God, I just want to roll over in bed. Like, yeah, it's all important. You have to embrace it. And if I could tell anybody that you just can't skip steps. You have to deal with it as it comes. But it's a beautiful, embrace it. Embrace your journey. It's beautiful. It really is. Anybody else? Nothing. Okay.
Maybe Jlin, I don't want to keep you too late. Maybe if folks have any more questions, maybe we can just wrap up with a few from the Q&A.
Yeah. I was going to go to that too. I said, maybe I'll go to the Q&A. I think. Yeah, I see 3 of them here. So somebody just asked, not just asked, but it's been here for a while. Sorry, I've been trying to do everything at once. So I answered that one. Do I ever get, I'm gonna bust her out. One of my classmates from high school asked me, do I ever get burnt out? Oh yeah. Yes, I do. I get burnt out, and getting burnt out is normal. And like I said, embrace those moments of you being tired and burnt out, but know when to rest, because if you don't rest, life will make you rest. So you have to know when to rest. And I definitely get burnt out. And sometimes what I used to do, I used to just go to the movies and get away, and I would go to the movies by myself. But now, with COVID, that's not possible. But what I will do is I'll turn on the Golden Girls and just escape like that. I love the Golden Girls. So that's something I'll do. have I ever been approached for a movie soundtrack? I'm hoping. I'm hoping. For sure. Yeah. Go ahead, Andrew.
I've got one, and then I think Hallie might have one too, and then maybe up to you, you know. But okay. I'm wondering like how collaboration factors into your work. I mean, the collaboration that you did with Holly Herndon is like kind of especially kind of a standout for me, and I'm wondering like, is that a big part of your work and your process?
Me and Holly are the silliest people in the world. And I know people when you have these like classes, everybody's looking for the most serious answer you have. Me and Holly are the silliest two people in the world. The way me and Holly collaborate is so fly by night, it's insane. Like I was at her house one time, when I was in Berlin. We were just acting foolish, doing what we do best. Matt Dryhurst, her husband, usually just leaves us. He says hi and then he's gone because he can't handle both of us at the same time. So usually how me and Holly work is like, I'll be in her studio and we'll be doing something, and then we get distracted with something else. And then on the way out the door, when the visit has concluded, she'll say, "Hey sis, I'm gonna shoot you some stems." Then I'm like, "Yeah, throw them my way and we'll see what happens." And then that's me and Holly's collaboration. The next thing you know, it's a track. And it just happens just like that. "Hey sis, throw me something." Okay, I caught it and I threw it back, and then there's the collaboration. That's me and Holly all day long. It's just, I mean, honest to goodness, that's really she and I. There is no, we sat down, we conjured up this like big blueprint of how it would work. No, it's none of that. It's just pure chaos, and then boom, there's the track.
That's amazing. That makes me really happy to hear. I have a question about your growth in terms of sampling versus making your own samples versus sampling a lot of things kind of externally, and what that's been like.
Oh, okay. So my sample story is actually what made me change it was, I said this in a lot of interviews, but it's true. I mean, since she's here, I might as well say it. My mom, I was sampling Tina Marie, and one day, and I was making a footwork track, and I was sampling, and I had her come in like she always does. She's always the first person to hear everything and listen to the track. And she asked me, she said, "It sounds good," but she asked me, "What do you sound like?" And that just, oh man, that opened up my world. That changed everything. So then it became a thing of, instead of being, and not to, I'm talking about specifically for me, there's no shot at anybody else. Instead of me being kind of crutching with samples, it was like, okay, what do I sound like? I did everything I could to explore what that was. And then the first start of that was Erotic Heat, was the track Erotic Heat. And then from there, it just kept going. And then, yeah, here we are. So that's where it started. It just, my mother asking me, what do I sound like? She's always my foundation with everything. So yeah, she really opened my world for that, because I think you should ask yourself, anybody should ask yourself, what do I sound like? And explored that. I think the world would probably be a lot more authentic if everybody was trying to find, instead of it being, so much musically, everybody's looking for, like trendy, and it's like, oh, everybody likes this, so this is what I'm gonna make. And it's like, well, yeah, but it's like 16 million other people doing this. And it, but if you rob the world, my mom always said this, you rob the world when you don't share what you sound like. You rob yourself and the world, because we never got to see what you being unflowered and knowing what you sound like. So I took that mission and that challenge, and it's a constant challenge. I do have a signature, but it's still a constant challenge. Challenge never stops. But yeah, that's how I got there.
Yep. Thank you for answering that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think this might be probably a good point to end on. And I'd just like to thank CNMAT and Ed and Jeremy for helping us to coordinate the technical part. And thank you so much, Jlin, for sharing this side of yourself with us and sharing your music. It's been super great.
Absolutely. It's been, I'm very honored. Thank you. Thank you. Very humbled. Thank you all for coming. This really meant a lot, you know, to me that you all took the time to come and listen, and everybody that was in the chat and the questions. And I was trying to do it all at once, but I think we did pretty good. So thank you all. I'm very humbled, really, truly. And I really truly enjoyed myself.
Thank you, Jlin.
Yeah, thank you again, Jlin.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Take care, everyone.
Yes, you all take care. Bye.
All right.